What's the worst one-night stand story you got? Not my story, but a friend of mine hooked up with a random girl at a bar. He's not exactly a ladies' man, so we were all happy for him. In the morning she asked if she could borrow his car to get some stuff to make them breakfast. She stole his car, picked up her boyfriend from jail and left the state. The things one does for love. Man, she really loves breakfast. Was the friend Walt Jr.? Damn, that's crazy. Did she get caught? Hooked up with a girl and she slept over. The next morning I woke up at like 6 a.m. and was trying to go back to sleep for a bit. 10 minutes later she gets up, which I initially assumed was her going to the bathroom. After hearing her make some noise for about 5 to 10 minutes, I keep an eye open, and she is going through all my stuff. She was trying to rob me of my watches, some cash I had, and my fucking Alexa. When she started getting her shoes on, I sat up and asked her what she was doing. Proceeds to jump into her shoes and dash out of my place without my stuff. Have Alexa play Swiper Stop Swiping from the next time you have anyone sleep over. Also yikes. I totally understand why people want to kick you out after. Sleeping with a stranger in your place opens you up to a lot of risk. She robbed us blind, she took all we own, and the boys blame me for bringing her home. Met her at a club, she asked if I wanted to go home with her and drunk me said, sure. We went to her place, completed our tasks, and we were sleeping when her ex started knocking on her window and calling her name. He finally stopped, and in the morning she was going to drop me off on her way to work, but her ex had parked us in. They argued and guns were pulled, both of them. She eventually talked him down, but I thought I was dead. I just wanted to get laid, not laid to rest. I just wanted to get laid, not laid to rest is one of my favorite things I've read on here. Nothing good ever happens at the saloon after midnight. It was really good until it turned really bad. So I had gotten recently divorced and my buddies took me out to a bar to get me drunk, and I ended up meeting a girl and went home with her. Next morning when I woke up around 9, she was still sleeping, so I went into her living room, turned on the TV. It was September 11th, 2001. So I was like, hey, I don't know where I am or even who you are, but the world's ending, so you might want to get up. Damn, that's wild. What did y'all do that morning? Called my friends to come pick me up, lol. You mean you didn't invite a friend and, give her the Twin Towers? Not necessarily the worst, but probably the funniest I've had. Went out to dinner with a girl I met in Bumble. It was supposed to just be a short meet and greet, but it ended up going really well, so we went out for drinks right after dinner. We ended up staying out pretty late and she invited me over at the bar was closing down. So we went to her place, had a little fun, but I had to leave because I had work in the morning. So I walk out around 3:30 a.m. and she also came out for a smoke. But there's this work truck creepily slow rolling down the street. It ends up making a weird K-turn and parking in a way that blocked me on the driveway. Now this girl had gone through a divorce the year before and was just starting to date again. This plus her hiding her face in shame had me sweating bullets thinking it was her ex stalking or something. But no, it was worse. It was her dad. She had told him she was going on a date with a stranger and that she would be checking in periodically, but after we had a lot of drinks and started to have fun, she forgot. So her dad walks up, avoids eye contact, and starts scolding her, which was super awkward for me. So I broke the tension by introducing myself. My dumb ass shook his hand and immediately realized that I hadn't yet washed my hands. I'll just say there was a little moisture there and the dad immediately knew what was up. I'm basically deaf and she was so fucking loud, sounded like a goddamn demon being exorcised. I mean, you got them skills then. Shit, I've been with a really loud girl before, and while I have self-confidence, I know my dick isn't scream at the top of your lungs good. The power of Christ compels you. LMFAO. Brought a woman home from a drunken party. We started doing our thing. She's a squirter. She gradually got rougher. I'm into, so no worries. Then she bit a small chunk of skin out of my shoulder and spit it back onto me. Blood and squirt everywhere, it was disgusting. I'm screaming like a baby. It hurt so much and immediately sobered me up. Drive her home right then and there. Only reason I didn't just kick her ass out was to make sure she was far away from my place. Still have the scar on my shoulder and a fantastic response to why I don't do one-night stands. Okay, That's too nuts to not be true. That's very Edward of her. Cullen? Very cute goth girl from Tinder. She comes over, we're hanging out and she tells me she's a witch. I brush it off, but she keeps pushing, and decides to do a demonstration of how she's an air witch, and thus can control wind. She does some weird gestures and makes noises. A few moments later a mild amount of wind comes through. To be clear, this was in Chicago in early summer. She eventually quits weirding me out and makes a move. I go for it. Second base arrives and she informs me that she is both on her period and that I should go down on her for witchy reasons. I politely decline, and say we'll bang another day, but I'm open to her staying over regardless as it's late. She wakes up early, introduces herself to my roommates and attempts to guess their signs while also trying to get them to go outside so that she can demonstrate her wind control abilities. I say she has to go, because I have to get ready for work. It was actually my day off. She insists that she drives me to work, so I get dropped off on the other side of town on my day off because she called my bluff. A week later she starts texting/calling me repeatedly telling me to stop resisting my feelings, and that a love spell was placed on me and it'd be easier if I just accepted it. Calls went on for well over a month and I'd occasionally see her in the park near my house even though she lived nowhere close to me. Hooked up with what would now be described as a manic pixie dream girl. Stumbled into her dark apartment after a night of penny vodka and cranberries. Proceeded to bone like only drunken people in their early 20s can. Woke up completely blurry eyes and horribly hungover. I had taken out my contacts and didn't have my glasses. But I started wandering around her apartment and slowly her decor started to come into focus. It was filled with Nazi things. Posters, throw rugs, books, salt and pepper shakers. I was wondering why she was so fascinated with my blonde hair and blue eyes. Edit. Thanks all for the awards and the replies. If anyone is wondering, yes, I did in fact get the absolutely hell out of there. I have never in my life been more worried I may have been drunk enough to go bareback and nut in a chick in my life. This woman was in her early mid-20s and could afford an apartment, or condo, in the Franklin residences in Philadelphia. So she had money. This wasn't some gutter skank from Kensington. That's a big red flag. Back in college, this girl I knew for a while and I started hooking up at the bar. We proceeded to go back to her place and things got physical. Mind you, we were both hammered, so this prob was a wild scene. At some point I fell asleep and wake up hours later cold and wet in her bed. I soon come to realize I peed the bed, first and only time since adolescence. With no choice, I proceeded to walk home at 4 a.m. in the cold. I texted her the next day and she had no idea what happened to her bed. I fessed up to that one and really owned it, and I think she was cool with the situation because of that. We just got married last summer. Just kidding. Safe to say that was by far my worst and likely her worst one-night stand ever. You had the perfect opportunity to blame the piss on her. Or to poop. Amber? Sex with coworker in disabled toilets. Both kinda drunk. Sloppy, sweaty, no orgasms involved unfortunately. Where on earth do y'all work?